Hey guys, how you doing? This is going to be an unusual video for me. I'm actually talking about a Wii game, something that I never thought I would have done even a year ago. But if you have watched my other videos, you'll know that I got a Wii probably for the first time well, maybe 3 months ago, something like that. But yeah, I never been a fan of Wii, but I got this game recently, and let me tell you, this is probably one of the best JRPG games I've actually played in quite a few years. That's Xenoblade Chronicles. And when I first got the Wii, I just kind of picked up some games that would look interesting to me. I got this one. I got The Last Story, which I haven't tried that one yet. I think that one's going to be pretty good too. But I can say with pretty high confidence that this is probably the best game on the Wii. I've looked at like other YouTube videos and they're talking about like top 10 lists of Wii games, and this one usually seems to be on the number one spot. And I think that's kind of interesting because if you look at like what happened with this game back then, it's kind of an interesting story. The Wii came out in like 2006, I think, and this game came out very late in the Wii's life cycle. I think they actually made it in Japan in like 2010, but it didn't even make it over here to the U.S. shores until 2012. And that's why if you look at reviews of this game on the internet, you'll see kind of like a lot of people are complaining, oh, the graphics aren't what I was hoping for. I was expecting, better graphics. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, well, I mean, what do you expect? It's like a Wii, I totally agree with Fancy Action Now is, this is basically just kind of like a PS2, basically. I'm not sure the technical specs on it exactly, but it really doesn't seem that much different than a PS2 to me. And for my eyes, it's pretty. This game here is pretty similar, like technically, I'd say, to Final Fantasy XII on the PS2. And Final Fantasy XII came out in 2006. This one came out 6 years later. So I can see like why people would be like a little like, wow, this is a new game and it looks like this. But as I said, like, what do they expect? That being said, though, I totally disagree that, they have, like, I think I saw one reviewer saying this game has, like, muddy textures and stuff. I got this game playing on my flat screen. I've got, the component cables hooked up. I think it's very attractive. It's got great use of colors. Textures look a little, simple sometimes, you could say, but it doesn't really detract from the game. So if you're saying like, oh, this game's going to be crappy graphic-wise, I would, not pay attention to that. Anyways, enough of that. On to the game. So, like I said, this is one of the best JRPGs I've played in a long time, and it's kind of got an interesting concept. There are two titans on this world of just water. It's basically a water world, but for whatever reason, we don't know, there are these gigantic beings, they call them titans, and they look like big monsters, basically. But I guess they were fighting for a while, and then they ran out of energy and just froze in place, and a bunch of life just sprang up on both of them. Now, these titans are like, the scale of them is just like unimaginable, because they're like miles high, basically. But you got the Bionis and the Mechonis, and the Mechonis is like more of a mechanical being, Titan, I guess, and then you got the Bionis, which is like a biological one with more like creatures we'd see like on Earth, something like that. And the monsters are everywhere, and you're spending most of the game you're just kind of fighting off monsters and running around, through the story. Another similarity to a certain Final Fantasy game you might know is one of the main characters actually dies pretty early in the game, and you're not expecting it. You're like, wow, that's pretty messed up. And it kind of shapes the story of the rest of the game, because the main hero after that goes on like a revenge quest, basically. And during this revenge quest, he finds all kinds of different stuff going on, like plot-wise, and the story's a lot more intricate than he thought it would be, and yada yada yada. And you're playing through this whole story. And probably the best thing about this game is it is just a massive game. I haven't even finished it, by the way. I'm probably, I want to say 95% done. That's just my guess. But you don't know when this game is actually going to end, because it keeps piling on and piling on more of the story. But I've already got like 120 hours invested in this game. That's all I've been playing lately, is this Xenoblade Chronicles. And it's just a blast. I'm having a blast with it. Now let me show you this box too. So you got the case here, and it originally came with a white case, just like any other Wii game, but I noticed it has a reversible cover, so I replaced it with a clear case, just so I could kind of, look at it. And, you got your nice color manual here. It's a nice thick manual. Look at that. And there's the inside cover there. And, this is a very well-made game. Some of my favorite RPGs on the PS2 are actually the Xeno Saga games. And that came out in a trilogy on the PS2. And I guess this is supposed to be like in the Xenoblade universe or Xeno universe. I don't know. But I don't really see any like strong similarities between the Xeno Saga games and these, other than there's like, huge monsters you're fighting, I guess. This game feels a lot more like an open world type of game, though. Because the environments you're running around in are just massive. Like, you'll be running up mountains, and you can actually fall down sometimes and just die. you could like fall down, hundreds of meters down and just get wiped out. So you got to be careful when you're running around on these environments sometimes. And all of the monsters you're fighting are pretty large too. Your characters will end up just looking like super tiny compared to some of these monsters you're fighting later in the game. And the mechanics of the game are kind of interesting too. You have like a day and a night cycle, similar to other JRPGs, I guess. But you'll see, like, as you're running around, you'll see it kind of start to get dark, and there'll be like an hour of the day where it just gets, darker and darker, and then all of a sudden it'll be nighttime. And then after, the night goes out, it'll start to get dawn, and you see for like another hour. This is game time hours. You'll see it start to get light again, and then it'll just become daytime again. And, there's like different monsters during the day, during the night. You can only do certain quests during the day or night. So it's kind of interesting in that way. And as you're going throughout the story, you'll go from area to area. You'll stop in different like towns and locales. And I'd say probably about a third of the game is just completing quests and talking to all the different townspeople and stuff that'll give you quests. A lot of it's just kind of like a quest where you go out and kill a certain amount of, X type of monster, or you'll go out in the wilderness and try to find like certain collectibles and bring them back to the people. So a lot of it's kind of just filler like that, but I still have fun doing that. I'm kind of a completionist with these RPGs. So I've just been going throughout the game kind of slowly, I guess, and just doing everything I can. There's just a massive amount to do in this game too. I can't even imagine the amount of work they put in this game, thinking of all the different little tricks that you got to do, and the story's kind of messed up actually. I don't want to give you guys any spoilers, but there's some kind of harsh stuff like happening in this game, and the characters have to deal with some like pretty adult issues in terms of like death and war and stuff like that. Just brutal stuff, and it's a very, very well made game. And this actually made me change my mind about the Wii. I'm kind of a fan of the Wii after playing this game. Now I know I'm not going to find a whole lot of other games like this on the Wii, obviously, but this game I think would have been much more well received if it had been on like the PS3, say, and they had gotten the more modern graphics and stuff for the time. But I still think it sold pretty well, and I looked on the pricecharting.com, and I noticed I think it was like a few years back or something, this game was actually going for over $100 on eBay and whatnot. But right now it's not that bad. I got this game for like $38, I think, with shipping, and I have an idea is they did a re-release of this game at some point. I'll see like some of the copies on eBay. It looked like they were printed in the United Arab Emirates or something like that, and they did like another run on them, I think. So if you don't have this game on your Wii and you do have a Wii, I totally recommend it. If you don't have a Wii, you can get a Wii these days for probably cheaper than this game. So I mean, getting a Wii is worth it to me anyway, just to play this game. So that's about it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little mini review, I guess, and I will see you soon. See ya.